Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And once again, this is the one-day chart. We're sitting here at $2.81. There has not been a lot of price movement on the price of XRP. Even if you look at the 7-day, you could see how we're fluctuating between $2.75 and $2.85. And this has been going on for a while now. We're just waiting for the next move up. And now everybody's talking about September again. And look at Bitcoin, back above 111K. And Bitcoin, once it starts to really break out, that's going to give us a better timeline. Until that happens, we're just waiting for other catalysts to play out for XRP. Everybody's frustrated, and I get that. And then on top of it, you have everybody saying, it's not going to happen in September. September's the worst month for crypto. But some big things can happen this month that could change that around. XRP is headed for a controlled launch towards $50, according to top Bitcoin investor. So what they're citing here is Ripple's banking license. And I would agree with that. But I don't think we're going to see that banking license get approved until 2026, most likely early next year. But that could be one of the keys to XRP reaching that price point. There's a lot of other factors you got to factor in, though. You know, we're on the verge of regulatory clarity. I tell you this all the time because regulatory clarity is going to benefit utility. Then beyond that, you start to look at ISO 222 and the ETFs. The banking license would be on top of all of that, and it would happen early next year when everybody's going to be calling the top on XRP. The next chapter for RLUSD starts in Africa. Why would Ripple choose to go big in Africa? It's because of this right here. 57% unbanked population, 80% mobile phone penetration, $95 billion in annual remittances. 60% of the population is under 25. That's not a market. That's a programmable generation. That's why Ripple's going so big in Africa right now. And, you know, they are going to bank every single person in the world. Ripple's not the only one doing this. It's also Stellar. Hedera also got involved in this as well. Because once you get all the rails set up, what comes next is the flip of the switch moment, where we go from the current financial system into the new financial system. And this time around, we're not leaving anyone behind. You know, there should be no reason for someone to be unbanked in 2025. That's the way I look at it. Top mainstream German TV puts XRP in the spotlight. You know, in Germany, they are highlighting where Ripple is going, where XRP is going. They talk about cross-border payments, how cheap it is with utilizing XRP, and how fast it is as well. By the time the U.S. mainstream media news catches up with German TV, it's going to be too late for anyone still on the sidelines. You know, the rest of the world is no longer waiting for the United States. People think these other countries are just going to sit there and do nothing, waiting for regulations coming out of the U.S. The U.S. is now playing catch up to a lot of these countries. And this is the reason why Germany most likely dumped their Bitcoin. You know, everybody said that was the worst decision Germany could ever make. But if they're going in a different direction and they're getting more involved with XRP, they're probably better positioned today than they were then. This comes from Brad Garlinghouse. Per CME Group data, XRP futures contracts were the fastest ever, just over 3 months to hit $1 billion in open interest. And CME put this out as well. August was hot, but the crypto space was hotter. Record $36 billion in OI for crypto futures and options on August 22nd. 1,006 large open interest holders, XRP, Solana, and Micro Ether futures hit all-time highs. Institutional activity is broadening beyond just Bitcoin. The institutions are looking past Bitcoin now. They're starting to look more towards utility and technology, because technology does not slow down. It only moves forward. You got to position yourself around the best tech. And a lot of these institutions are already looking at XRP to help them, help their company. That's why we're starting to see the treasuries as well. It is such an exciting time to be an XRP investor. These were things that we thought would happen at some point in the future just a few years ago. Now it's happening in real time. Here's the possible XRP price if tokenization reaches 10% of global GDP by 2030. And they're citing what Ripple said. They're saying that tokenization could be 10% of the global GDP. Now, not all of that would end up on the XRP ledger, but even if just 10% of that happened, we would be looking at a $41 XRP. But this is going to happen much sooner than 2030. I don't get why they're still citing 2030 as the big year when everything is already accelerating. You know, crypto adoption is happening way fast than the internet adoption, and it's not slowing down. It's only speeding up from here. That's why I said most XRP holders are going to be retired within the next 24 months. Some are going to be retired over the next couple of months. Because once XRP breaks out, there's a lot of big XRP bag holders out there. I'm sure a lot of them are going to sell their entire bag and quit their 9-to-5 job. And you could get to that point without even selling your XRP now. Now you have passive income options coming. We never had that before in the past. That's a very big deal. When you don't have to sell your crypto and you could borrow against it or earn monthly income off of it, why would anybody want to sell their XRP? But let's get back to tokenization, the overview of the XRP ledger real-world asset tokenization. Private credit, 135.1 million. U.S. Treasuries, 116.7 million. Stablecoins, 88.6 million. Stocks, 55.4 million. Real estate, 4.3 million. Now, this is going to move into the billions very soon. Real-world asset tokenization hasn't even got momentum yet. They're still waiting on the SEC to give a clear path forward on tokenization. They're still waiting for regulations in the United States as well. So I'm expecting this to move into the billions very quickly. Then it will go on to hit into the trillions. And as all that value is traveling across the XRP ledger, us as XRP investors, we are going to get very rich. September Fed rate decision could pump XRP to $4 if this happens. I see a lot of people saying that there's a big chance that the Fed is going to cut rates in September. Now, if they cut rates in September, I'm expecting the entire crypto space to start popping off. And if they plan on cutting rates in October, November, and December as well, like some people are citing, how the hell does the top come in in 2025. It doesn't. It pushes into 2026. Same thing with the ETFs. People act like all the money's going to pour in within the first 4 weeks. It's going to take months. You're going to see inflows in October if they go live in October. You're going to see inflows in November, December, January, February. And at the same time, institutional adoption is still going to be happening. So anybody calling for the top and the major pullback to happen within this year, I think they're totally wrong. I think this extends into 2026, and I think it's going to go most likely into the summer of 2026. But you're going to get your chance to take profit along the way, because January still looks like that would be the top for alt season. So do we get a minor pullback in January? Nobody really knows. We don't know what the inflows are going to look like yet. How long are the inflows going to last? Nobody really knows. So then you got to factor in, is XRP on the path to recovery from the Rippleverse SEC case? Because that still has to happen, in my opinion. We have not seen full recovery yet. Then you factor in ISO. How much value is going to come from that over time? It's not going to be a day one event. That's going to be something that's ongoing, because they're utilizing XRP for its actual use case and utility inside of ISO messages. And then after all of that, we still got to see what happens with Ripple's banking license. How soon does that get approved? If that happens early 2026, like people are predicting, then we start to see where that goes from there. That could bring a lot of value very quick, or it could be more value over time. Breaking news, Xrp just filed XRP Etf and 4 other crypto ETFs with the SEC. Now, they're expecting this to get approved on September 9th. You see it right here, September 9th, 2025, pursuant to paragraph B. So they're starting a Trump ETF, a Bitcoin ETF, an XRP ETF, a Bonk ETF, and a Doge ETF. I think they most likely included Bitcoin in there, thinking it would get approved quicker. Who knows? But if this goes live on September 9th, this could give us our first look at inflows for XRP. That'll give us a good idea what's going to happen with the rest of these ETFs as well. The XRP ledger just activated its credentials amendment. I mentioned this in a video yesterday. This is KYC, and AML is now built directly into the XRP ledger, not external apps. A massive leap for institutional adoption. So did Ripple do this ahead of the ETFs for a reason? I think some of the people that are buying the ETFs early on might go on to buy the actual asset once they start to figure out what XRP does and how it could help their own business. Why would they continue to hold an ETF when they could hold the actual asset? Maybe Ripple wanted to get this done ahead of the ETFs for that reason. But like I said at the beginning of this video, right now, XRP is just fluctuating. Very small moves, upward and then back down, then back up, then back down. We're waiting for the next leg up. We're also waiting for Bitcoin to begin to break out as well. You know, people keep counting Bitcoin out. It still has that big move up in it yet. People don't realize that. They're like, oh, this cycle's over. Bitcoin's going to come crashing down from here. But it's not going to happen quite yet. Bitcoin still has a little bit more in it before it comes crashing down. And that'll solidify alt season as well. But until it happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.